Hey friends, this is Miss Chen here, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make an Ojo De Dios, also known as a God's eye. So here I have my popsicle sticks that are glued together ready for me. I have my yarn colors and I have scissors ready. Now let's go ahead and begin. You'll notice that my popsicle stick has some markings drawn on, and that's just to help you guys visually see in the video a little bit better, but you'll notice that your popsicle sticks won't have these markings. So it's just to kind of help you out. Our popsicle stick is glued together because we don't want these sticks kind of flying around everywhere. So that way they're nice and secure and they're glued down like they're best friends. Now, the first yarn color is going to be the center of the God's eye. So you can see it kind of creates a rhombus shape. So I started with blue in this example. So I'm actually going to start with pink this time. So I'm going to put my finished example here, and I'm going to find one end of my yarn. So there's two ends. Sometimes I like to call these little tails. So I'm going to just keep one tail in my hand. And what I'm going to do is wrap it a couple of times in the center to make an X. So I'm going to hold the bottom part of my stick, take the tail end, and I'm going to wrap it around just a little bit with the tail one time and a second time. And what I'm going to do is just hold that little tail with my finger so that it doesn't go away. And now I'm going to wrap my yarn in the opposite direction twice. So I'm going to go once and twice, and you'll see that it's formed a cute little X. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about time. So right now there's four ends of our popsicle stick, and it kind of reminds me of a clock. On a clock, there is 12, 3, 6, and 9. And typically a clock moves towards the left. This is called clockwise. Now, Miss Chen likes to work counterclockwise. That means I like to go backwards towards the right. So you can choose to go towards the right, which is counterclockwise, or go to the left, which is clockwise. So you go ahead and decide. Right now, this is my 12, my 3, my 6, and my 9 o'clock. What I'm going to do with my yarn is I'm going to wrap it around my 3 o'clock. All right, over the top of the popsicle stick. So if you look closely, I marked a red and a blue line. The red is the top edge of my popsicle stick, and the blue is the bottom. You don't want to wrap going this way. All right, that's going backwards. You're gonna want to take the yarn and wrap over the top edge first. All right, so I just swung it around one time. And then what I'm gonna do now is rotate towards the right. All right, so I'm gonna repeat that step again and show you. So I just wrapped my little X in the center just to hold down that tail, and I'm gonna wrap the rest of my yarn going over the top edge, all right? And I'm holding it right here, and I'm gonna rotate. So I'm gonna turn it like a steering wheel, and I'm gonna repeat that pattern. I'm gonna wrap it around the top edge one time. I'm going to rotate towards the right, and you'll see my hand moves to grab that 9 o'clock. And I'm just going to repeat that. The more you continue with this pattern, you're gonna start to see that really cool rhombus shape or that eye shape start. So I'm just gonna keep repeating. Wrap around one time, around that 3 o'clock, rotate. Notice how my hand is at the top. It's kind of weird to hold it up here. So I'm going to move my hand to that 9 o'clock position. I'm going to wrap around once, rotate, switch my hand over, wrap around once, and don't worry about those little tails. We'll get those hidden. So kind of practice that pattern. It's okay if you have to restart. And the more times you go around, you're gonna start to see that rhombus shape appear. And I've done this a couple times with my classes, so I've had lots of practice. So once you kind of get the hang of it, it goes kind of fast. But it's not something you want to rush. So if you don't see that rhombus shape, that means the pattern has a oops in it. It has a little mistake, so you would have to unwind it. And sometimes I like to just start from the very beginning, and it's okay to unwind, okay? So it's all good, but just take it slow, take some practice. So same thing, I'm just wrapping it around one time, stopping here, rotating it, moving my hand to that 9 o'clock, wrapping it once, and then you just keep on going. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish most of this pink, and I'm going to stop when I see that there's about a hand's length left of my pink. So that means the rest of my pink is about the length of my hand, so this is a good stopping point for me right here. So what I'm gonna do is pick my next color. I think I'm gonna do green this time. So what I'm gonna do is take the tail of my green, I'm gonna put it side by side with my pink tail. And I'm gonna tie just a simple knot. So what I'm gonna do is take the two tails and form a circle. So you can see here's my little circle. I'm gonna take these little tails and put them underneath and through the circle. So I'm gonna grab the tails out and then I just pull, all right? And when I do this with my friends in my classes, a knot is something that they sometimes really have to practice. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you that one more time because sometimes knots are a little tricky. So here's my two tails. I'm gonna form my circle. Doesn't have to be a perfect circle. You wanna make sure it's big enough for those tails to go underneath. So what I'm gonna do is bring those two tails underneath the circle and through, almost like they're swimming up towards the sky. I'm gonna pull, pull, pull until I formed a nice knot. So this is what my knot looks like. All right, and then I know I'm so excited about my green, but I can't start with that just yet. I have to finish my pink. So find where you left off. You can see I ended here, so I'm gonna just continue the pattern, wrapping around once, turn. All right, so here's the end of my pink, and you can see the tails. We are going to hide that. You'll see on my finished one, all the tails and knots are on the end. So now what I'm gonna do is hold on to my green yarn, and I'm just going to continue the pattern. And I know what you're thinking, I really don't want those knots to show, and that's okay. Watch, I'm gonna take my yarn and wrap it on top of these tails, kind of securing it down, and we're basically just going to wrap it on top to hide it. So the more we continue our pattern, it is going to hide those knots. So just keep going, keep going. And you can see I'm almost reaching the end of my green. So this would be a good, maybe one more. This would be a good stopping point for my blue. So same thing. Make that circle, put the two knots through, or two tails, and pull. So this will be my last color. You could definitely fit one more color, but I'm gonna stop at 3. And if you're at home making this, you can always use straws. If you want to make another one, you could use wooden chopsticks. You could use barbecue skewers. There's lots of options as long as it creates 4 ends. So you can see I'm kind of wrapping it up, and I'm still trying to hide those tails. And we're gonna save our scissors for the very, very end. All right. So I have about a hand's length left now. So to end this, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my last color, which is blue. I'm gonna wrap it around a couple times just to kind of secure it. And you might need some help or another friend or family member to kind of help you with this step. But basically you're going to just take another tail end and form like an X, like you're about to tie a shoe. Put one of the tails underneath and through and pull, and you're gonna repeat that step. So you're basically tying a knot with that last color with some of the tails on the back. And now it's all secure. I'm gonna just push that together. And I still don't like how these tails are kind of showing. So what I'm gonna do is very carefully use my scissors and cut near the knot, but not right on it. So you can still see there's a little bit of the tail hanging, looks kind of fuzzy, but when I flip it over, you can't see it anymore. So that is my finished God's Eye weaving. I hope you guys have a lot of fun weaving this project because it definitely is really beautiful to look at.